That's okay. I know it's a struggle to start. Think of it this way. You started draping last week. That's it. You started draping. Yeah, you started draping last week. Yeah, the punchline is like you just started, and yeah, that's it. So other than that, like I said, this goes back to the same thing as bottom of the tape or top of the tape, correct? I'm doing bottom, so I'm just sticking to the bottom of the tape as per usual. When you get to your shoulder, that's when it gets a little confusing. So just make sure to always square off where it's an intersection. And it just makes it easier for you to know exactly where your points are at. Because reality, I don't really need to mark shoulder. I just need to know where they intersect for me to make a straight line. And you'll see where I trace. So here, yeah, bottom of the tape, guys. Bottom of the tape. And I just mark my armhole tape as best as possible until I get to the sizing, bottom of the tape. Then, as a discussion, a reminder, no more than 2 inches to 2.5 inches from the underarm to start the dart. Why? Because if you do it lower, it just makes it the illusion that her bust is really low. No one wants that. No sagginess. Not in this class.
Wait, so the darts should be
Okay,
more than
so
an inch
then we
below
mark our darts, and that's it. Like usually I don't even mark the sizing that much. I just mark as long as it's straight. So here you go, bottom of the tape, and I mark my waist. Same thing here. Mark where it's at, and then we go here. Okay, perfect. And make sure to mark that apex, okay? Really well, because you'll see what I mean. All right, guys, we're gonna take this off, and we're gonna start trimming. Okay. So now you can see where we are. The same principle applies, which is from the center front line, it's squared off 1/4 inch, correct? From that 1/4 inch, we're gonna round it out. Use your French curve to round off that neckline. Beautiful. Now from here, from that marker on the neck to the armhole, we're just gonna start a straight line because already that's why you square off.
No curve?
No curve, not in this one. The back, that's up a little curve, but that's a different story. And that has a dart too. But for now, this is fine. We're not gonna do any changes to our armhole because we already taped it. Usually what happens with draping, you tape to the plate. I'm sorry, you mark to the plate and then you drop it and go out. We don't have to do this because we already did that. And also another thing with draping, make sure you're not draping tightly. There should be natural ease to it. I think you notice as with your skirt, if you don't have natural ease, it doesn't fit. It skews, or your center front or your center back is not aligned. So that's why we need to make sure. So same thing here, I'm just gonna use my ruler to line it up and make it round and beautiful. As one of these things is that you will get used to the armhole. Sometimes you notice how I match as best as possible one section and I pick up my ruler to use a different section of it to draw it. That's what I'm gonna do with almost everything because this is a hard curve. And that's it. That's that. What we learned in the skirt was we close our darts before we trace, correct? So we close our dart and this one will be going down. This dart faces down, okay?
So do you pin your darts down?
Going to the bottom, because think of it as if the excess is up when someone wears it, it could wear and it can like have a weird bump on the bust. So it always goes down so this way it's smooth.
And you're putting your princess dart to the side.
To the back. You're gonna notice that right now. So after this, we're only gonna do is we're gonna connect the underarm to the side seam. It's a straight line.
With the dart.
Dart close. Now we can release it to make it a little easier on us to do the waist. Same thing here. We're gonna connect our dart, princess seam dart. Sometimes I'm gonna get used to nails once you say so. Anyways, so then we're gonna connect where it's at, making sure our dart is facing to the back. Same rule applies. 1/4 inch straight. Sorry, my pin was there. 1/4 inch straight. And now it should have like a little curve down. You can use your hip curve for this or your French curve depending on the size. Sometimes the sizes are really small, very curvy for this line. So what I'd like to do is we're gonna just match it as best as possible and we here.
So you want more curve towards the side.
Yeah, usually. Because that's the section that you slashed the most.
Got it.
Now we have this. Now you're like, oh, are we gonna really do the darts? Yeah, you know, the same way that we did it before. Remember how our hip line was helping us figure out if it's straight grain or not? It will be our apex this time. So that's why I said mark the apex. We're gonna use the apex, we're gonna draw a straight line. I understand if the straight line is not gonna be the center of your dart, that's okay. But it's gonna definitely be the one that helps us figure it out, the center, the length of this one and where it starts with the princess seam. So now, when we fold things, we also might as well just also cut it because that actually shows us really the middle of the dart. For this side, we're gonna do little by little. Okay. Okay. Where's this? Okay. I don't know why the scissors are not working, or not scissor. Well, that's not really good. Anyways. Okay, so you see the right middle of the dart? My apex is gonna go through the middle. Because if you think about it, the apex is the same, right? It's going along. So that's what we're doing. So now our dart is gonna be about, I will say, make it about 4.5. I say 4.5 will be good. Maybe 5. I might do 5 because it's a size 14. And then what I'm gonna do, actually, no, you know what? No, let's make it deeper based on how curvy she is. Go 1 inch away from the apex. And then we're gonna go 1 inch, and then we're gonna do this one next. So now we're gonna draw it. Why 1 inch from the apex? Does anyone know?
Because you never do at the end of the dart, right?
Yes, and you know why? Because if you do the dart all the way to the apex, then it pokes out.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No, we don't want that. So in order for us to avoid, is we make sure that it's only until we do 1 inch away. So that no one's apex and it looks weird.
It's a more natural plus line.
Exactly. So now,
What if she has a cold brown?
excuse me?
That's from the 50s.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what
We
do you
used to
say?
do it that way.
If you want to, but that's a,
Like Katy Perry drums.
I mean, Katy Perry did it, but I mean,
Who did?
you know,
No,
Katy
Madonna.
Perry, Madonna,
Oh, yeah,
all these
yeah, yeah,
things.
Some
They always
of
try to
them,
come back.
Yeah. Yeah, they did, but they didn't really come
Yeah,
back.
exactly. So then we go here again, we close our dart on the side, and we do 1 inch Our side is, so it's half an inch everywhere except for the side seam and the center front and center back, okay? That's rule of thumb.
Also 1 inch.
Yeah, 1 inch, we're gonna cut it. And you can already see it, like, she's looking cute.
She's giving body
Look at this, without even doing that much.
Yeah.
dimension.
Yeah, dimension, same thing here. Oh, actually your shoulder seam has also 1 inch. Usually I like to do 1 inch. I don't have enough apparently, but that's okay.
Is it? Yeah.
It will lift, I'll be fine. You can tape muslin if you want to on it. It'll be fine.
All over the side now.
You'll see right now. We're also gonna do it 1 inch away from the apex, I think. Just because since this is a basic pattern, I feel like the manipulation of the dart, you'll see what I mean later on when you try to do smaller darts or try to even take out excess even more. You could try to take out the excess even more, but that's when you skew your brain, and that's okay with certain things. But for our purposes, this is very basic. That's one. And now we have exactly where our dart is at. We are gonna go 1 inch away from the apex from here. Now, this is the tricky part, guys. Actually, no. Maybe. Usually, so this is the thing about darts on the bus. Sometimes when you make them too long, it just doesn't look flattering at all.
Does also depend on how
Yeah,
big.
exactly. So what we can do right now, I think if we do like a 4.5 inch.
She's
we'll
a
let-
14.
Yeah, it's a 14, yeah. So 4 inches to 4.5, but follow the apex line. You see that? That will be the end of your dart. And that's why I also make it cut it. This way I know exactly what the sides are. It's a little different from the skirt, but she's gonna fit. She's gonna fit beautifully. The apex line just helps us the direction of our dart. It's not the middle, it's the direction. Your bust dart should not be straight, it should have a little bit of an angle, okay? And now, we take it, and we're gonna pin it, if I can get. We're gonna pin it. I'm just gonna do 4.5, and I like that. I think we did 4 inches. And remember, for sew line, not from the edge. There's a huge difference. Because if I count the seam allowance, and the other rule of thumb we learned today was wherever seam allowance is pointing, that's where the seam allowance is, that's how we're pinning our pins. Okay, guys? And we're almost there. And we're gonna do this one always to the back. Okay. And then we go here, almost to the back. Okie dokes. I'm gonna pin much better, but I want you to see what's the difference now. I'm not doing anything. I'm just even laying it down right now. It's not even pinned.
Wow.
It just holds
That's
itself.
fitting
You can
really
see
well.
there's shape here. And everything is, without even me trying, everything's lined up. The armhole looks good, the side seam is good. When I say that the grains are in the straight grain, the pins, there's no weird poking out seams. That's how it should look like.
So we align with bottom.
If you want to. If you do bottom of the tape, remember how I told you, if you choose bottom of the tape, it will be for the rest of the semester. I don't need you to change it. If it's top of the tape, for the rest of the semester. It gets too confusing if you go back and forth. Okay, we'll do this now. I'll be checking around.